Okay. Ready to start?
Let's do it.
Yay!
Yay!
I can get my phone out so I can reference it.
You're listening to WHBK Chicago 88.5 FM, the pride of the South Side. I'm Rhea,
I'm Leia.
and this is...
I'm Henry. I'm the first guest today.
Hi, Henry.
This is so exciting.
And this is Finders Keepers. We are a musical interview show where we interview a new guest every single week, and sometimes we have return guests. And this week we have Henry with us. Henry is a musician, a friend, a housemate. We lived in the same house first year, and we're really excited to have him on.
I'm really excited to be back. This was the highlight of my quarter last time I was here, so I don't know. And hopefully I picked some good songs for us today.
You did.
We have lots to discuss.
I peeked at some of them, and they're good songs, so
Okay, awesome.
don't even worry.
Awesome.
Okay, so Henry, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh my goodness.
Maybe about what brought you to WHPK, why you were interested in doing this show, and also just selfishly, like, I want you to talk about Dirt Red Brass Band.
Yes, of course. And we had this
That
conversation.
can also be brought up once we get to the question.
Yes,
as
true.
Hi guys, I'm Henry. I am, like our beautiful host here, a senior at the University of Chicago. I am also in a jazz funk brass band called Dirt Red. I play the trombone.
Trombone.
I'm certainly no expert or anything, but I have a good time. And I love talking about music. I love to yap, and I love to have friends who sort of give me an excuse to yap into a microphone for a little while for hopefully interested listeners. And I don't know, last time it was kind of on a whim when I came here, but it ended up being a really fun day, and then I thought about it for several weeks afterward. And then unfortunately the recording for that session was disappeared into the ether.
We've lost a lot of Finders Keepers.
So I'm very happy to be back, and perhaps, this one can be saved for memory.
Totally.
Yeah.
And would you tell us what song you'd like us to play first? You brought 3 amazing selections for us.
Oh, goodness. That's a good question. Well, I guess I'll start with a question for you guys, because I think 2 of them are a little more, not fun is not the right word, but 2 of them are a little more upbeat, and one of them is sort of more, I think, certainly political, but it's also, I think, do we want to do that one last, or do we want to end on the kind of like...
It's up to you.
Totally up to you.
We don't get to choose.
You could also do like sort of like a sandwich.
Yeah, sandwich situation.
Sandwich the intense between the upbeat.
Okay. Or think about it this way: the one that you want to talk about the least can be last, because maybe we can purposefully run out of time for it.
Oh goodness, you're saying that into the mic. Okay. I think
we just accidentally.
Or we just accidentally do that.
The last one can speak for itself, I think, the most. So I think we can start with our good friend Aretha Franklin.
Oh my God, yay.
Wow.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Right before we begin, I just want to give a little PSA. We are having a fundraiser sale downstairs here in Reynolds Club at 5706, South University Avenue. And we'll be selling buns. We have red bean paste buns,
pork buns from Chiacon in Chinatown.
And we also have WHPK merch. We have t-shirts. We have old Signal magazines. One is actually from the early 2000s. It has a pretty cool Sonic Youth interview inside, so I definitely check that out. Everything is cheap. We just want to connect with people, fundraise a little bit, sell some buns. So stop by. We'll be here until the late afternoon on the first floor of Reynolds, and you won't miss us. So,
all right, this is Oh Me Oh My, in parentheses, I'm a Fool for You Baby, by Aretha Franklin. Enjoy.
To make you laugh, I would be the fool for you. Although the people turn and stare, I really don't care. breaks my heart when you're not there. I'll stage a ballet on a tabletop. Command performance, finger slide, yeah, yeah. And although I ain't got no tune, my show ain't gon' fly. I'll find the music there in your eyes. Oh, me, oh, my, I'm a fool for you, baby. Oh, me, oh, my, I'm crazy, baby. Oh, me, oh, my, yeah, I'm a fool for you, baby. Come on, let your love light shine on me. We'll blow a genie from a cigarette, and then we'll take a magic carpet ride. Yes, we will. And we'll tell our smoking friend, hey, don't you forget, because you got to keep us side by side. Yeah. Oh, me, oh, my, I am a fool for you, baby. Oh, me, oh, my, you know that I'm crazy, baby. Yes, you do. Oh, me, oh, my, oh, I'm a fool for you, baby. Come on, let your love light shine on me. Would you do that? Come on, let your love light shine just a little bit. Shine on me. Oh, come on, let your love light shine on me. Oh, hear me now. Oh, me, oh, my, I'm a fool for you, baby. Oh, me, oh, my, you know that I'm crazy, baby.
Ugh, I love fade outs in songs.
I know, they
They
do
don't
it
do
for
them
us.
like that anymore. You're listening to WHPK Chicago 88.5 FM, the pride of the South Side. I'm Leia.
I'm Ria, and our guest today is...
Hi guys, I'm Henry. And first thing to
And-
say, beautiful fade out, by the way. For those of you listening, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring back the fade out in songs.
Bring back the fade out in songs. I don't want the Spotify auto crossfade, okay?
Oh my god.
I don't want
Nope.
it. I want it
Nope.
in the production.
It pisses me off.
Yeah.
It pisses me off. Because this song gets screwed over if you listen to it with Spotify.
It does, because it
crossfade.
ends like 10 seconds earlier.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what? Okay, Henry, this was a beautiful song. You know I like this song a lot.
For,
You,
for those of you not in this room, which is all of you, Ria was clutching her chest the moment it came on. And
Ugh,
so
it's
I
just so
gather that
good.
you're a big... do they have a fan base name? I don't know.
no,
Franklin or
the Franklins.
Aretha.
The Aretha.
Aretha Nader.
I guess it really is no fan base name because it's everybody's, the entire world.
Well, I remember when I auditioned for Dirt Rad Brass Band. I remember you guys
You
asked
did
me.
really good, by the way.
Thank you. My voice was really lost, but it doesn't matter because I had a lot of fun. But I remember your band manager. I don't know what to call him. He asked me what music I liked, and I said Aretha Franklin, and the entire room was like, "Oh, yes!" Like everyone was like, "Yes!" And I was just like, "Okay." These people
That
know
was
what
the
they're
right
up to.
answer.
That was the right answer. Yes.
I mean, I've never met anyone who dislikes Aretha Franklin.
That's true,
Like,
that's true.
That would be a
Yeah.
really shocking.
I did
addition.
actually run into that once.
What?
It was, well, it's not in real life, but it was on TikTok.
Okay.
That's not real life.
Yeah,
that's
that's
not a
not
real
real
person.
life. They probably are rage
Yeah,
baiting you.
But it was, some guy, well, it was kind of, he was ranking, he was like greatest vocalist of all time. Number one was Patti LaBelle, which I can get behind. I can get behind.
I can get behind,
Controversial, but I can get behind.
but above.
And someone in the comments was like, there's no Aretha on your list.
Yeah.
And he said, well, yeah, she has church voice.
Okay.
And I
And
think
what do
that
you have
was
wrong with
an-
gospel? Like,
Yeah, and, right, and so, you know, the comments clearly were not very fun after that. But,
yeah.
the fun thing about this song is it's actually a cover of this, what's her name? It's a Scottish artist named Lulu.
Really?
Which is also Rhea's roommate's name, by the way.
That is my roommate's name. Shout out.
But the fun fact about her is she was married to Maurice Gibbs of the Bee Gees. Married, dating, and also claimed that she had an affair with David Bowie. So it's kind of beautiful that the music industry is so connected in ways that you would not expect.
Yeah. Wow,
but
she looks like an icon. Lulu Gold is her name. Oh, or maybe that's her album name. I didn't know this was a cover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cover.
So you also have a lot of biographical information on music.
I love going on Wikipedia and just looking up stuff. The original, her version is quite good. It's a little more kind of British invasion-y, I think.
Okay. Had you heard her version first or Aretha's?
No, I had heard Aretha's
Okay.
version. I remember I had only discovered it because I was looking for the song one day and I found the other version. I was like, what's this? And it was 10 years older.
Oh
and
my
I was like, oh, that's
God.
interesting.
Okay.
But she, to be fair, she, I think we can say that before, because the people are saying songs get Kelly Clarkson now. When Kelly Clarkson sings them, it's sort of like, it doesn't
theirs.
matter whose song it was originally.
Yeah.
Like, it's not Kelly Clarkson's song. Like, Aretha Franklin did the same thing.
100%.
Like, there's so many songs
Oh,
of
yeah.
hers that were covers. There were a bunch that were, like, originally written by Stevie Wonder, but nobody thinks of the
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder songs because it's, she's just. So I think she was in many ways
Totally.
the originator of that kind of effect that people now attribute to Kelly Clarkson.
I had a moment like that where I realized that she wasn't this, and this is really embarrassing, but Sam Cooke's song, like, what's his most famous song?
Change is Gonna Come. Everything.
I thought it was hers.
I mean, that's not
'Cause she-
embarrassing at all.
She
Like,
did
I
a
feel
cover
like
by
that
it
makes-
once, and I didn't know it was a popular song, and I didn't know it was his, and his version is just as iconic. But I only realized this when I was watching that new movie where Leslie Odom Jr. plays Sam Cooke, with, it's called A Night in Miami.
I didn't know this was happening.
What?
No, yeah, there's a movie. There's
Another
a movie
biopic?
called, yeah, it's a biopic about A Night in Miami, and it's about the relationship between Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Sam
No
Cooke
kidding.
during the civil rights movement.
That's awesome.
Free PSA for that film.
Yeah, and Sam Cooke sings "A Change Is Gonna Come," and I was like, oh my god, like, he's covering it so well. And I realized that it was fully his song. We've talked a lot about covers on this show.
Yeah, we have. I mean, I think it's a really special part of music. The
I
fact
agree,
that, like,
I agree.
people, and, like, I think it's, I mean, not that it's, like, I mean, when I think about, like, folk music and the way that, like, things kind of, like different iterations of things build on each other from, like, an original tune. And I think covers are kind of doing the same thing.
I agree too. Same with sampling, and people are always
Yeah.
up in arms about sampling.
Oh, yeah.
They're always, like, oh, how unoriginal. Oh, these rappers are so unoriginal. They're always sampling. It's like, it's the point. It's kind of like the ethos of the genre is
Yeah.
to, like, and especially, back in, 60s, 70s, whatever. Like, all of these songs, for the people, say, like, the Motown label, they were all written, they had these teams of songwriters, and then they would go out to, like, a series of artists, and they would all do their own rendition with some, different arrangements, specialties. And it was about, like, the voice and the persona that would, like, make it into, I think, not to jump the gun here, but one of many ways in which Taylor Swift has ruined music.
Oh my god. Okay,
Expand
before we get
a little bit.
into the Taylor Swift, I want to ask you, what is your approach to covers as a musician that's in kind of a cover band? You guys do.
We are a cover band.
And yeah, like,
it's not kind of. We are a cover.
okay,
band.
you are a cover band. I don't know the definition. But you guys do a lot of covers and you pick really good songs. How do you guys balance, like, adding your own spin on it versus, like, being true to the original and giving justice to the reason that you picked those songs in the first place?
It's a tough, and me and my bandmates often disagree on how to go about this. I think there are certain songs, and those who know us know that we play Valerie by Amy Winehouse every single show,
Every
all the
single time, yeah.
And that one is, the way it's arranged for us is incredibly faithful to the original song, with, I think, the idea that, like, when people want to hear that song, they want to hear that song.
Yeah.
But there are others that I think, we give ourselves a lot more creative license with, and it's part of it is just kind of like if someone throws out an idea that like maybe we should try this, it ends up sort of like morphing into something really cool, kind of sort of like a kind of Frankenstein's monster of a song. And at first it's a little unwieldy, and then I think it's sometimes can be tough to navigate because you want to put the kind of like respect and the intention on the original artist to be like this is the song you all know, and we're just sort of performing it here for you. But I think at the same time, like, the whole, jazz as a genre and instrumental brass music, and especially like, a lot of our stuff is inspired by, New Orleans arrangements. And so a lot of that is based on kind of like reinterpreting source material and like adding a kind of like different groove to it.
I mean, improvisation and making it your own is so like, I feel like what any band aims to do.
Yeah,
and so it's cool that you guys do that even though you also do covers.
And sometimes it's really simple. Sometimes all it is we just, we take a song and then we add a solo section to it that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's all it really takes to kind of like add a spin to it. Others, like, one of my favorites is we have a version of Mr. Magic, which is a Grover Washington song. Amy Winehouse did a cover. By the way, guys, it's about weed. I don't know if people know this, but not the original. The Amy Winehouse lyrics are about weed.
Oh.
But she out of that.
But we do his instrumental version with some of her lyric verses.
Oh, beautiful.
And then also, Herbie Hancock Chameleon has a similar set of changes.
Oh my God.
We ended up just like in the middle, we just kind of fade into that and do that for a little bit and then fade out. It ends up being like an 11-minute long song, but it's really fun. And it's become kind of a recurrent joke that we should try to like do a recursive set where all of the songs just like fade into one another, and then we kind of like it becomes just like a 30-minute
Frankenstein
song.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, you described the genre, or like the kind of music that Dirt Red plays. What are the different kinds of music that you guys dabble in? Because that's also the same kind of question, like, you're just putting things together, making changes, it's funky, it's brassy.
So the band is 10 years old, and it started more than that, 12 maybe. Not, because we're sort of a rotating group of people. And it started as a very strictly kind of New Orleans sort of street band. It was just horns. And over the years, as we got sort of more attention, I think, we added, and people were excited about joining, and so we added, a bassist and a guitarist and a pianist and a vocalist. And now it's sort of become, I think, more, we have our kind of, and we have these different set lists. We have these kind of like pop hits that we play. We have the kind of disco hits, and then we have, a list of sort of standard, jazz repertoire, Take the A Train, Strasbourg St. Denis. These are just kind of just like basic, classics that you can find anywhere online, and so it's, just to kind of, and then we have, sort of, I think, the funk stuff and the blues stuff that is where I think at the moment we're kind of experimenting more with. But it's a persistent question. It's one that's always kind of frustrating to both me and I think a lot of my bandmates, is like, what direction do we want to go in?
Yeah.
I think there are some of us that want us to take on this more kind of crowd-pleasing direction. There are some of us that want to kind of go back to our roots. There are some of us that feel like the middle ground is kind of a good place to be. And so I think it's something that it's a recurring question. But the nice thing about it is because, every 4 years there's always going to be a completely new crop of people.
You're right.
That you can kind of, they can then determine where we're going to go from here. Yeah. And, I'm happy with where we've gone these past 4 years, and I'm going to miss it. But I'm also excited to sort of like let it move on to someone else now.
I remember maybe last year you told me that, or maybe even a few years ago, you told me that you didn't learn to really play jazz with the trombone until college.
Yes, this is true.
So what was your relationship with instrumentation and music before college?
So I was in, just a classic, like, high school wind ensemble and marching band. So, it was, I was playing the trombone, 5 days a week.
Yeah. How'd you pick the trombone? And, like, was there, like,
I do love this story. I was in 5th grade, and I really wanted to play the trumpet. And my mom was like, I love the trumpet, go play the trumpet. I walk into the room, and the band director looks at me, and he's like,
no, I'm already scared.
He's like, you're too tall to play the trumpet.
What does that mean?
And he's like, you're too big to play the trumpet. You have to play the trombone.
But did he mean that in the sense that like
He
you
wanted
have
you.
trombone, you have like a
I think it
trombone
was a
arm?
combination of like I somehow had trombonist physiology. I don't really know, and I think it was also that like I was like the last person to get there, and everyone before me had already picked trumpet, and so.
So it's not that you couldn't play the trumpet; you were just
You were
better
selected.
suited to play.
Well, but he was like, if you're gonna be in my, elementary school band,
Yeah, right.
you have to play the trombone.
It
And
was
I
serious.
Runs the
like,
tight
So
ship.
I take the trumpet. Like, my mom picks me up. She's like, "What the hell is that?" That is
Yeah,
not
'cause
a
it's
trumpet.
massive.
That
It's
is not a
massive.
trumpet. And I was like, "No, it's a trombone." And she was like, "Oh." And she really was not on board for it for a little while.
Wow.
Until I got good at it, and then she was like, "Okay, this is awesome. This is great." But I will say I was the only one at the end of that year that knew how to play hot cross buns.
Okay, so aside from the hot cross buns, like, why did you want to join the ensemble? Like, were you just like an avid music fan? Was it required?
I definitely
At
I've
fifth
had
grade?
a musical family.
Okay.
My grandpa was a band director. My dad played the saxophone.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Wow.
So I think they were all. That was kind of just the pressure, and it was also, I was navigating like, what is the thing that I'm gonna do, and I was like,
At
this is
fifth
a thing.
grade, oh no.
Right, but no, but then then when I went back, I went to middle school later on, and I was like, okay, I have to like,
Yeah.
just have a thing, kind of creative outlet, and I was like, this is fun, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I ended up making all my friends, and so I just kind of was like, I'm gonna see it out because now this is where my people are, and it just sort of morphed into being sort of the thing I did in high school. Funny enough, I remember one of my favorite memories is maybe sophomore year. It was the year that Aretha Franklin passed, and we had done like a pep band tribute to her, where we did like a marching arrangement of Respect,
Oh.
and it was really really fun. It was really really fun.
So it was the marching band.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was a great time. It was, the crowd was like, loved it. And our band director was like, really, he was just like, it was very emotional for him because I think he was of the generation that she was such a figure for
Yeah.
him. So.
So you guys go way back, you and Aretha.
I mean, we're going back to 2016. I don't know.
2016.
How do you feel like your music taste in general is influenced by like the different bands you've been in, and like
Or classical
or like
music.
the way that you like you as a musician versus you as like a listener? Like, is it completely
Yeah.
cohesive, or is there like a little bit of divergence?
There's a little bit of divergence. I think what it is there's certain artists that I listen to, and this is primarily in I think the folk camp. I love folk music, and I think that for me is a lyrical thing.
Mhm.
There's certain types of music that I listen to solely because of the lyrics. But I think as a whole, my listening style, I love. I pay a lot of attention to instrumentation and like the background instruments and what's going on, and like, I love. I think that's what got me into. The kind of like funk and blues music that I ended up now playing in college because the trombones and like that, they know how to use the trombone. It's a tricky instrument too. It's kind of ugly. It's not like
It's kind of an abrasive
it's kind of abrasive,
sound.
yeah. The trumpet and the saxophone like can have these kind of beautiful like
Melodic
soft melodies,
lines,
and the trombone just doesn't really have the capability for that. At least for most. I mean, there are people incredibly talented and they can kind of do whatever they want, but there's a lot of like. For me, I found it hard to like fit the trombone into certain genres of music and to find a genre that like it seems to have a home in.
Yeah.
Which is, and unfortunately I forgot, I should have put that on the list first day, but if you ever listen to anything by James Brown, and his trombonist Fred Wesley is insane. I mean, he's just, and the tone just fits the energy so well.
Yeah, beautiful.
The trombone and Brown's voice, like they work together so well, and it's like it's such a beautiful like. I think that's kind of seems to be what the instrument is best suited for, and it's sort of exciting to be able to. I think throughout high school I was like, I'm so tired of playing this kind of like, concert band fare. That's just like I'm sitting in the background, playing the bass line, or just like doing little harmonies with the trumpets once in a while, and I don't get to do anything else. And it was like kind of nice to be able to realize that there was music I could play that was actually fun for me and exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, Aretha songs are gorgeous. I don't find them abrasive at all, and I think like horns and brass fits so beautifully into this genre.
Yeah.
In a way that like maybe a marching band sounds a little bit more like, it's like the purpose is like for a pep rally to like kind of be this wall of sound that gets the crowd excited. But this one, like, I don't know if there's trombone in this, but is there? No.
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, maybe in the kind of background brass.
Yeah, but it really adds to like a different ambiance than you'd expect from the sound of a trombone, and I think like I've heard that in your little solos.
That was the biggest hurdle for me. Was learning how to do that.
And you do it.
I was so attached. I'm so attached. Still so attached to like. I gotta follow the music beat by beat.
Yeah. Structure's nice.
I learning to let go a little bit and kind of like, you can tell, what separates I think a good, and I consider myself in the good camp, right? You separate a good player from a great player is the great trombone players, like the instrument, and you watch them play, the instrument is like an extension of themselves. Like they essentially are singing through the instrument. Like it's kind of insane to watch, and it requires a certain level of like letting go. Almost like ego death. I don't know. That's probably too extreme. But it requires that kind of letting go of your own, like, kind of like the voice in your head or like
fear.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mean, because like when you're improvising, I mean that's just an example. Like when you're improvising on an instrument, like you still have to like kind of follow where you are.
Right.
But like I feel like but
you can't worry too much about what's actually happening.
Exactly, because that like then you sacrifice.
And
the
it was
sound.
a tough thing to learn because in a kind of like structured band environment, you learn in high school, whatever, you learn to process rhythm and all of the stuff through like at the beginning we're all check your tunings every so often and like count the beat in your head or like tap your foot like and all of that, like get this kind of coordination between mind and body and trying to turn that and then turn it into something that's unconscious so that you can like really let go is
that's
like a
mastery.
really hard process to do.
Really hard.
It's really difficult. I'm still not even that good at it, right? It's like
don't say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're gonna. Unless you have any
well,
last
actually,
words on
I
Aretha,
think
do
that.
you have any?
Oh no, everything's already been said. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, if she has any haters, let me know. If
Yeah,
anyone
you
wants
can
to
call
call
us
in, if
at
anyone wants
Yeah.
to call in,
If
and
anyone wants to have a debate
you
or
want to have a
something.
talk about her, but this is actually great because the next song is from one of my favorite soul bands from the 60s and 70s, and one of the reasons they're my favorite is because they use horns so beautifully and so masterfully. And so I would love. Why don't we get into it?
Which one?
This one will be "Below Us All the City's Lights" by Tower of Power.
All right. Here we go.
While driving through the moonlight, we stopped at the top of the hill. The night stood still for just a moment as we shared that crystal below us. All the city lights and all the people living their lives, dreaming their dream. We sit and hold each other while listening to our favorite tune. A half-hidden moon, a love in the whisper, to show that I really care. Below us, all the city lights and all the people living their lives. take that one last look below us. All the city lights, how they go as we steal a kiss before we go. And now I realize our love has grown. The tenderness we have known will last. Below us, all the city lights keep on shining. All the city lights shine. All the city lights shine. Coming up above. All the city lights shine. All the city lights.
You're listening to WHPK, Chicago 88.5 FM, the pride of the South Side. This is Finders Keepers. I'm Rhea.
I am Leia,
And our
our guest today is.
Hey guys, my name is Henry.
And Henry just chose the song Below Us, All the City Lights by Tower of Power.
Yes, sir.
Is the album called Back to Oakland?
The album is called Back to
Okay.
Oakland. And for people who don't notice, the cover of the album is this really gorgeous shot of the Bay Bridge. And I think of this song, I'm not even from the Bay Area, but I think this song feels like what it must feel like to kind of drive, you know,
100%.
in sort of like
Totally.
an old Pontiac over the Bay Bridge.
California driving and water definitely is the vibe I get from this song.
And they are, you know, an Oakland-based band. The singer here is Lenny Williams, and we were commenting on how beautiful his voice is while the song was playing. And it's a shame because he was only with them for the first 3 albums before he sort of went off, I think, to pursue
Solo
solo
career.
music. Yeah.
Okay.
But none of the lead vocalists afterward really matched up to him.
No.
The horn section, I think, was always what they were known for, and it's massive. It's absolutely massive. For those who are just tuning in, we were talking earlier about arrangements in a band. I'm always telling my bands to arrange this song. I'm always saying we should do this. But we have a horn section of maybe like 6. And they have a horn section of like, I think at some point it was up to 13 or something like that. It was insanely huge.
Sorry,
And-
I'm finding out that my shirt is on backwards.
Oh goodness, really?
Inside out.
Doesn't it? It doesn't
Continue,
inside out,
continue,
sorry.
continue.
It looks
Well, it's dark
gorgeous.
in here, so
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
fine,
tell. But,
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's okay. Oh, I see the tag now.
you see the tag now. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, they have a huge horn section, so it's you know, we could never do that.
But they use it so tastefully in the song.
It's so gorgeous.
It's
I mean, the
gorge.
harmonies, it's such an incredible, and they, in many ways, I think they're more influential to a lot of later horn arrangements than I think they're often given credit for. Their earlier stuff is a lot punchier.
Okay.
And then they kind of later get into these kind of ballads. They love doing these ballads.
I think the word for me is like suave.
It's so, yes, it's very suave. Yeah.
So you're from Southern California.
I am from Southern California.
Did the Southern California music scene being in such proximity to like Los Angeles and even the Bay Area, and also you have a lot of friends from the Bay Area, did that at all shape or influence the music that you listened to? Or did you kind of find these big brassy instrumentated albums through your trombone playing?
I think that's a tough question. Well, I'll say, to answer how I found it, it really is my parents are 2 massive Van Morrison fans.
Okay. Nice.
And so they had gotten me into that sort of whole sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I think it was a matter of just stumbling across artists that sounded similar. And then once I got into this band, you know, I hang out with people every weekend who have just like an absurd amount of musical knowledge. You know, absolutely absurd, and all from different fields.
Yeah.
So it you know.
Well, the folk festival's coming up. You mentioned folk.
It is.
Are you going?
I'm going. I'm
PSA
excited.
Folk Festival on February 20th and 21st. Or is it January?
February.
February 20th and 21st, Friday and Saturday, 7:30 and 8:30 shows.
And there's also workshops all throughout the day on Saturday in Idaho 12. Check it out.
So, Hunter, are you going to the folk festival?
I am going to the folk festival. Also, okay, promo.
I know.
We just like very seamlessly.
We just have to go into the PSA
It's kind of
sometimes.
like a Sherman show, basically, you know, where we're like,
And I'm looking
where we're
at
doing
it.
ads in real life.
This is a business.
No,
No, it's
No, it's not. It's a non.
It's a non-profit. I know.
They're not a business, but guys, they do need money, so please go support the fundraiser downstairs.
Right,
Oh,
right.
now
See,
you're
you're
getting
getting
the
the
hang
hang
of
of it.
Back to folk.
Back to folk. Well, I was going to answer
Or back to Tower of
Rita's
Power.
question
Either one.
about California. It can be weird sometimes, I think. I read this great book about Los Angeles, which I can't remember the name of, I'm being so honest.
That's
but
fine.
It described it as kind of this weird place where it's the center of everything, but it's also kind of the center of nothing. Because nothing that's,
I agree.
because when you're kind of the place where art and music is being produced almost exclusively, almost the kind of like it's kind of monopolizing art and film, TV, music.
Yeah. It's not really where new music is being created.
It's not, and you have styles that originate in all these areas of the country. They're all coming out, being filtered through these LA record labels.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to say because I just feel like there's no. That's not true. I mean, there is regional Southern California music because we were sort of the pioneers of the early kind of the surf rock and
Totally.
the Laurel Canyon, Johnny Mitchell's of the world, like all of that was very much built in LA. But I think especially now
And so much
it's like-
hip hop and
so much
rap.
hip hop, yeah, the West Coast hip hop, and the Bay Area too. But because it's now it's like if you're making any style of music, you're in LA or you're in New York, and I think what makes this Tower of Power album special is I think we've lost in many ways a kind of dedication to regional identities in music, and to have an album that is so explicitly tied to a place, I think is special, and it's something we don't see very often anymore.
Yeah.
And their follow-up album after this was called Urban Renewal, and it was in many
I've
ways.
listened to
yes,
that.
It's
Oh,
my
that's
opinion,
them?
That's my favorite.
Oh.
But it's and that is it's all about the kind of massive transformations of cities such as Oakland in the 70s and 80s, and I think that kind of tying yourself to a place and really witnessing it, I want to use the word ethnography, but that just seems
No,
too
no,
pretentious.
please do, please do.
Say it.
Oh, it's so pretentious.
You
I
should.
think there's there are ethnographic albums in in the way that there's just they're about a place and they're really dedicated to kind of fleshing out the kind of tensions and fears and emotions and all of that come with the place. And there's certainly recent examples, and I'm really trying to think of them.
Do you feel like LA has that at all, or I don't know, because I mean, of course, Oakland has a really strong sense of identity in some ways, but do you see that at all in Southern California?
I mean, recently it's tough to say. I mean, obviously in the 90s, almost all of the hip hop coming out of LA in the 90s was very dedicated to place.
Yeah.
But
Or even Frank Zappa,
right.
all of that kind of music. As somebody from LA, I think that the medium that I respect most coming out of LA is TV.
Yeah. I agree.
Most recently, I Love LA by Rachel Sennett is just
I have a lot of thoughts on that, but
yeah,
we
it's
don't have time.
I mean I think that these new shows that are coming out that are such caricatures of LA don't translate really well into musical form, because I think there's something about music that's much more vulnerable and earnest than a visual depiction that you can see on TV. And I love how much fun of LA TV makes of the place. I think that it's well deserved. I think it's funny. I think it is exploitative in a really smart way, and I think that in music that doesn't really translate into music, and there's so much more left up to interpretation when you're just hearing sound and words, that I think to be tied to LA as a place you probably shouldn't really be talking about LA. You should probably just be talking about your experience, or like the canyon, or like the mountains, or the beach. And like there's specific environmental factors about LA that you can talk about, but Los Angeles as the proper noun place is a bit harder to write about because it's so massive and it's so nondescript and it's so non-singular, like
I think that
in a crazy way.
It's in many ways a kind of dual. I mean, I was because Leia from New York. I think this is a dual LA and New York problem, as these kind of like and controversial opinion for the audience, right? Is I consider them to be equivalent cities. I know one is technically a little larger than the other, but I think that in many ways, like the country as a whole is a kind of bipolar country, and it has these two centers.
Poles, the east and the west.
And everything outside of that is where the kind of like unique regional creativity comes from, and those two centers just end up, But I think that there's also, if you think about songs written about LA that are from the outside. This is kind of a silly example, right? But Chapel Roan's Pink Pony Club as an example, right?
I was gonna actually bring up her album because it's called Midwest Princess. Or the something
Rise
of
and
the
Fall
Rise
of
and Fall of the Midwest Princess, yeah.
That song's about the Abbey, the gay club in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's funny because I think that sort of signifies what a lot of music about LA, weirdly Party in the USA is in the same category as this. Which is it is a mecca of kind of like cultural expression for artists who are coming from quote unquote middle America.
It's the Denver of business.
What does that mean?
What is Denver?
Oh, sorry, no, it's okay. Wait, LA is to music as Denver is to business. Do you know what I mean?
I wasn't aware that Denver.
I had
was
no idea.
Let's leave it. Let's leave it. Let's drop it and let's move on.
Okay, cool.
No, but I do see the difference between like an artist who just moved to LA writing about what you're like. I guess that is still part of LA though, like the hopes and expectations for a place. But it is different than, I don't know, what you said earlier and almost retracted, music as an ethnography of place.
Well, it does feel like things about LA often are like contrasting where you're originally from or like your experiences somewhere else with LA. Like I feel like so many songs are about how much I miss LA or like how much I yearn for LA or like what I miss about home now that I'm in LA. And like there's not a lot of I guess a lot of music that comes out about LA isn't necessarily from people where like that is their region and like that's their home. It's like their new home rather than like the one that they've learned to be a person in.
Right, and there's a lot of music about the tension, right, between where one comes from and the kind of newness of place that they are experiencing.
Pink Pony.
Pink Pony. Yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like Chicago almost used to be that, but like maybe like 100 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, or like
and Chicago's
creation.
funny,
I don't know, because like you have like blues, which comes from like the Mississippi Delta, but then it like undergoes this like complete change, and it's like I don't know. It's evolved into like its own place, like its own place.
Yeah, and I definitely could see this. I feel like there's this kind of pathway where Chicago is where all of these kind of like creative expressions from the South and from Appalachia and from the Midwest like come together, create something new, and then that kind of gets sold off to the coasts to be kind of distributed around the world.
Totally.
Okay, this is a great point.
I think you see the same with Detroit too, where it's like that is where Motown began, and now it's all that genre and what's left of it, what it's transformed into is all coming out of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
All of those artists that were sort of born and bred in Detroit are now eventually once they reach peak, they moved to LA, they moved to New York.
Yeah.
Except for Franklin, she stayed in Detroit for most of her life, which I think is awesome. But yeah, I think it is fascinating, because it's these industrial cities, it's these like sort of very working class cities that kind of like breed a particular creative expression. But then once there's money to be made off of it, it can't stay in a place like that anymore.
For people to make their art a living,
Well, I think it's a place where people make their art for a living.
But to push it,
right.
It feels like you have to go
to get rich. You
Exactly.
I heard someone. This is So Asa, who some of you might know, wrote a paper
Great
for
guy,
a
great
creative
barista.
writing class, sort of about how Chicago is like this like has this like weird mercantilist relationship
Yeah.
to the coastal cities, where it kind of becomes like the incubator for like all creativity. There's something like authentic about the kinds of people and the kinds of like expression that emerges from Chicago, but then people leave Chicago
Yeah.
and it
yeah.
becomes
Well, my favorite is sort of, I think, almost it's you know, it's not even about music, but it's I think a metaphor for how a lot of this works. It's like if you think about the Board of Trade, it's just kind of silly, but, you know, it's like we have the commodities exchange,
Yeah.
right? Which is, you know, it's like here is where we are the prices for, you know, corn and wheat and oil and soybeans are you know, set and you know, traded on and delivered and whatever. I don't really know how it works. I'm not an economist, but you know, but then all of that, like all of those numbers, then get sent to New York, so the kind of like financial markets can then you know, do whatever they want with it, you know, and so it's kind of this like we're the center of kind of like American material culture that then just sort of gets exported to these coastal cities, where then it becomes like a mechanism for capital,
Yeah.
you know, and then that's where and then
It's
from,
internationalized,
yeah, and
the
then
regional-
from LA and New York
yeah.
it becomes international.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're right, that does mean like
planetary urbanization, guys. Yeah. Oh, goodness.
No, and I mean, this ties perfectly back to what you were saying about like the regional sound. Like
Yeah.
that is kind of lost when you go to these places that are maybe historically good at, or just like are known for how they can capitalize on spreading the music globally or like internationally. Like there is something about like a pop star or something becoming international, where like you lose the richness of the experience that they started making music from.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
mean,
thinking
it's-
about Chapel Roan.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, and one of the reasons that I love Plug It Again, Folk Fest on February 21st,
PSA.
PSA, is that right, the right date?
February 20th and
20th
21st,
to the
yeah.
21st,
Oh,
Friday and
incredible.
Saturday.
One of the reasons I love events like that is you get, I remember last year, and I don't know if they're coming back, I haven't looked at the lineup, but there was a Cajun folk band,
Oh.
and, you know, it's kind of like at these small
Yeah.
kind of shows like this where you get these groups that are, you know, keeping regional genres alive.
I do love that about Chicago. You get things
Yeah.
like the Jazz Fest, you get things like
Yeah.
the Folk Fest, and like these are artists like I personally have never heard of.
Yeah, no, and
but
it's incredible.
It's incredible music, and like it speaks to people just as much as like what they stream on Spotify, and you definitely don't get that on the coasts in these
No.
hub cities that we're talking about.
You know, I think there, you know, there people go, I think, to play, to become big.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and here I think people come, at least, you know, at things like the Folk Fest, they come to just express
Yeah, I mean, it's also
their
like
art.
Yeah.
about like, or at least on the coast, it's more about like the individual as an artist versus
Yeah,
like with
absolutely.
these groups, it's like, no, it's like about the preservation
Sharing.
of a tradition
Right,
and like
right, and
this kind
genre.
of group like feeling that you get from, I don't know, being around different kinds of music that you've never even heard of before.
Yeah. Okay, we have to play one more song.
We do have to play one more song.
Would you introduce it?
I would introduce it. This one actually, and this is so perfect. We keep accidentally creating such beautiful segues, and it's really awesome.
It was on purpose,
I
of
was
course.
yeah,
Yeah, we planned it. We planned
It's
it
a scripted show,
scripted.
guys. But this one is called "Someday," parentheses, August 29th, 1968, by the band Chicago. It's a song, and you'll hear it. In fact, you'll hear it very immediately. It's a song about the 1968 Democratic National Convention in the city of Chicago and its sort of aftermath. And as much as, you know, I think we give grudging credit to the coasts for their kind of like, you know, the ways in which they internationalize American culture, I do think, as we've seen in 1968, as we saw, in fact, in 2024 and 2025, Chicago as the kind of like, you know, a very visible center of political regimes and also resistance to said regimes. And I think this is a really great song about that. I hope you all enjoy. This is from their first album, by the way, which is called Chicago Transit Authority, and I think that's very fun.
Okay, this is Someday, August 29, 1968.
Would you look around you now and tell me what you see? Faces full of hate and fear, faces full of me. Do you feel the rumblings as your head comes crumbling down? Do you know what I mean? Run, you better run, you know the end is getting near. Feel the wind of something hot come whistling past your ear. As they try to get you, where it will upset you down. Now you know what I mean. Someday you will see how long we've waited for the time to show you how we've got to get together with you all. Twist and turn your head around till everything's unclear. Twist and turn your arm around until it is not there. And they'd love to burn you, or at least to turn you around. Now you know what I mean. Can you look around you now and tell us what's to be? Can you look inside yourself and tell us what you see? As you feel the rumblings, as your head comes crumbling down, and you know what I mean. Someday you will see how long we've waited for the time to show you how we've got to get together with you all.
Some places where a kind of dramatic ending like that is quite warranted.
Bam! Yeah.
And for those who don't know, we were just talking about this. The audio, protest audio used in that song is real recorded audio from the summer of 1968 in Grant Park in Chicago. there's certain ways in which I think good protest music is kind of a lost art.
Yeah.
And so for any musicians out there, I would sort of implore you to take on that challenge, because I think it can be incredibly fruitful.
This is also kind of an unusual protest song.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, what I was like, I literally wrote down like, is this a protest song? Like, is it not? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that not necessarily, like, the content, of course, is like clearly political, but like, the sound, I feel like, I mean, not that I consider there to be like one,
It's punchy. It
it's
is
punchy, it's chaotic, it's spontaneous in a way where like a lot of protest music, especially from like the early to mid 60s, is really, really different. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
I
like,
think
that
in many
divergence
ways,
is cool.
yeah, I think in many ways one of the reasons I love it so much is it is also a hope song.
Yeah.
Because it's the song itself, like the musical part of the song is asking about a day in which we can sort of look back
Yeah.
and see how far we've come. That this moment isn't forever, and there's a way out, and I don't know. I think that is a sort of very important moment.
Yeah, I
message.
mean, this little stanza, someday you will see how long we've waited for the time to show you how we've died to get together with you all. There is, like, a sense of hope there, but also
Yeah,
a sense of, like,
I think it's it's a kind of like a day of reckoning is coming.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it will be reckoning for
Yeah, it seems very focused on the collective, like a
Yeah,
collective reckoning rather
Yeah.
than an individual one. Like, we're all gonna realize, and we're on this together. And I just love how also that idea is highlighted by the whole world's watching chant.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible, and
I wish I knew how they orchestrated that. Like, so this song wasn't this way before they performed it in front of a live audience.
No, I think that they took snippets from the protest audio,
Okay.
which happened a year before, and then
Oh,
they
gotcha.
spliced it into the song, which I'm quite impressed, because I think that the 1970s recording technology was not.
No, it's not good.
Couldn't have done that. But I mean, I think it was done quite masterfully, and the two parts seem to not entirely work with each other. I just think it's got the horn lines are constantly creating this really strange dissonance.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's such a thoughtful song.
I love the big band
Yeah.
backing it up.
It's
I love
also
it.
very like universal. Like it's not like
Yeah.
there's no like specificities. It's not saying like this war, that war,
Yeah.
etc. Which I think makes it special because it's so timeless,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
becomes so timeless.
But I think at the very same time, it is it's a song about Chicago by a band from Chicago on an album about Chicago, and I think I think that's what makes it super as a listener from the city who also has been in the streets and who has eyes and ears, and who doesn't remember, because obviously I wasn't there, but who knows about the sort of collective memory of 1968 in the city. I think it's a really cool kind of time capsule, and also a still very kind of relevant song
Yeah.
for those of us who live here.
Weirdly though, like I feel like I was listening to like the Beach Boys, but experimental.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many. Like
They kept to
honestly,
their
I'm a little
style, which I
bit
think is impressive.
confused the more that I think about it, but like in a really positive way.
I like that.
Okay, we're out of time.
Oh, it's so
Do you
sad.
have anything
I
else
love
you want to
being here.
say on the air?
Let me
Any last
think.
words?
Let's let the last words. Well, on the sort of topic, Chicago today. I'll say two things. And in the spirit of of Hannah Einenbender at the Golden Globes, number 1, fuck guys. Number 2, go Bears. And
Oh yeah.
thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. Thank you for having me.
Do you want to do the station ID?
Oh, but of course. Oh my, I have to read it. I have never read it before. Okay. Well, first of all, my name's Henry. I am here on Finders Keepers with Leia and Rhea. And you're listening to WHPK, Chicago 88.5 FM, the pride of the South Side.
Woo woo.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's
Thank
just
you, guys.
lovely.
Tune in every
I learned a lot.
week, 1 p.m. on Fridays for Finders Keepers.
Yes. Please do. If you want to be on the show, call us, give us a text, email us, go support the WHPK fundraiser downstairs in Reynolds Club 5706 South University Avenue, Chicago, Illinois 60637. You can always
A full
email.
zip code and everything.
There we go. You can also email sm at whpk.org. If you want to contact my beautiful co-host Leia, who runs this station, and please consider donating through the U Chicago Alumni and Friends website. You can make a gift. The button is in the top right corner, and then under area of giving, select other university division, and in the drop-down menu for specific fund, select WHPK radio station. If you want to sign up as a monthly recurring gift donor to WHPK, click the monthly recurring gift button at the top of the page. And if you have any questions, please email sm@whpk.org.
Please support. The world hates independent radio. Please
That's
support.
And we want to have more conversations like this in the future.
With you.
Well, please, I'll be back anytime.
Goodbye.